Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. What a better way to come back to the normal content than doing my fall TBR slash book recs for this upcoming season, because fall is basically here. So I thought, why not already make this video? We're gonna be going over the books that I want to read in the next few months, which I have read in the past, and books that I think y'all should be reading during this fall season. Let's get started. We're gonna go first into my TBR. We'll start off. The first book slash books that I want to read during this fall season is the Harry Potter series. If y'all have been here around or just know me and follow my other socials, I am a huge Harry Potter fanatic, but I have never read the books. I don't know if that makes me a fake fan or a real one, but I just love Harry Potter. I watched the movies God knows how many times. I have basically like 70% of the first one memorized. I think it's about time I finally read these books. But I thought, why not read it? Because this screams fall. Like, even the colors and the fact that these are like kind of like used and kind of worn out. I don't know if y'all can see. It just gives like fall vibes. I don't know. Next, another series that I want to read. I don't have all the books with me because I didn't want to struggle with carrying all of those books. But I think we already know which ones I'm going to get, which is the Throne of Glass series. I only brought these two with me. I don't know why I brought both, but the series I want to read is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I have already read The Assassin's Blade back in March, I think. Now I think it's about time to continue reading it, because when I read this, obviously it was like spring and then it was summer and it was just not the vibe. I have such high expectations for this series, so I thought I should just wait till the fall season. So we're going to be reading Throne of Glass and all of the other books. Another book I want to read is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I have seen so many reviews on this book, which is also why I kind of haven't read it yet, because I'm kind of scared, because I have high expectations and I'm afraid of being let down, because I have been let down in the past before. And I also have seen that Powerful, which is the second book in this duology, is not the best. And also, I don't like how the novella is like smaller than the rest of the books. It's like Powerless, the novella, and then the third book. What do we do that for? But I'm not exactly sure what this book is about, if I'm being honest. I like to go into my fantasy book especially very blindly. No, I just like going into my books blindly, because I just like being caught off surprise. Because if I overthink it too much, I'm like, what's going to happen? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? And then I just don't enjoy the book, especially if I already know what's going to happen. I'm just like, ugh. Unless I'm like really into it and it's all I think about, then yeah, I will probably search it up on TikTok or something. But I tend to try to steer away from that. But anyways, this is just another book that I would like to read. I just really love fantasy in these times. Like, next, I don't really know what genre this book would be considered, if I'm being honest, because I know it's not fantasy. Would it be like dark academia? I don't know. But the next book is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I also don't know what this book is about either, but I have been wanting to read this, I think since probably 2021, because if I'm correct, I'm not sure though, this is the OG cover before the new cover came out, where it's just like all black and it has like stars or like flowers all around it. I got this one when I studied abroad in Italy. Yes, I'm still gonna make that my personality, so suck it up, because I literally just took off the sticker from the bookstore that I got over there. But I'm not really sure what... Oh! I just realized this got bent. I need to see what genre this is. The genres with this is thriller, mystery, suspense, and literary fiction. I kind of had a feeling that it was probably going to be literary fiction, but I did not think about thriller and mystery, which is kind of scary, because I'm not the biggest fan of those, even though it also makes sense to read a lot of thriller and fantasy books that I did not put on my TBR. But oh well, we're just gonna go along with it. But yeah, this is another book that I want to read. Lastly, the book I want to read is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I kind of semi-read this my senior year of high school, and one of my goals for 2024 is to read more classics, and I would love this to be my first classic read. Okay, so now leaning into my book recs, but kind of still part of my TBR. Start off with Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. My babies, the love of my life. I love them. Like, Even like this, they look adorable. I just love them. But this counts as my TBR slash Rex because I've read all of them except for the last book, which is volume 5. And I've been trying to hold it off because I'm waiting for the new season to come out in October actually. But one of the reasons why I think this is just such a great series to read in the fall is because it takes during the school time, beginning of school, which is obviously in the fall. And I just noticed if the show or read any of these books, you notice how when there's like cutesy little moments or like leaves falling down and all that stuff, it's just like, it just screams fall. Like anything that takes place in the school year is fall time. And obviously if you have not seen, it's graphic novels, so they're pretty easy reads. I think they're about like, this one's 300 pages, some are 100, 200, 300 pages, no more than 300 pages, I can say that for sure. But I do want to include, if you read the 3rd, 4th, and I don't know about this one, but please do check up trigger warnings if you are planning on reading these books, or if you started and haven't gotten into those yet, please search up trigger warnings. Another series that I want to read slash have read, which I think is perfect for the fall, that falls into also taking place during the academic year, is Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. I understand the hype, y'all. I understand the hype. I have only read the first one, which is Magnolia Parks. If you guys are interested into getting this whole universe, let me tell you. In case you're confused, there's Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. These two books take place in the same universe at the same timeline, but different point of views. This book takes place in Magnolia's point of view and BJ's point of view, while this one takes place in Daisy Hates' point of view and Christian's point of view, and I think Julian's. Anyways, from what I've seen, because I've done my research on this, some people like to tandem read and you read these at the same time, but you read like certain chapters of this one and then certain chapters of this one and certain chapters, because you're getting like the whole point of view and it's in the same timeline. Or some people just read Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates, Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates. I read Magnolia Parks and then I'm gonna read Daisy Hates because I didn't know about that until after I read the book. But honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it would be great to read them separately because you get the full like approach and appreciation and attachment to Magnolia and BJ just reading them. And then I'm pretty sure you'll also get the whole attachment and appreciation and everything for Daisy Hates and Christian and Julian in these books. And basically what this series is about is a group of teenagers, surprisingly, because when I read this I'm like, there's no way these kids are younger than me. It's about this group of teenagers who are in high school. In other words, if you watch Gossip Girl, it's basically Gossip Girl taken in London. It's about this group of rich friends who, you know, live their day-to-day life, full of drama, all of this, all of that. I will say this does have to do with the cheating trope, so if you do not like the cheating trope, do not read this book. And toxic relationship trope, how could I forget that? That's like the main thing that attracts people or makes people not want to read it. Toxic relationships, 100%. This is like extreme toxic relationship, but I still eat it up, which should say a lot about me. I'm not proud of it, but I did eat it up, and I was like, ooh, like I was like, whenever they're together, I'm like, yee! And then when they're apart, I'm just like, why aren't you together? Next is a duology. It Had Been With Me and If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nolan. I've only read this one. I wish I really just read all the books before I start recommending them. This has been considered one of the quote-unquote saddest books on Book Talk and all that stuff. Is it sad? Yes. Do I think it's the saddest? No, 100% not. But I will be recommending ones that I think is one of the saddest. Don't you worry, I got y'all's back. But this follows Autumn, who I don't even want to talk about it. This follows Autumn, who is your basic, I'm super quirky, weird type of girl. I'm very different. I don't really care who anyone thinks about me. And Finn, who is her childhood best friends, and I think they were neighbors because their moms are best friends, and they grew up being best friends until they got into middle school and high school, and they kind of both like went their different ways. Finn is your typical popular top athlete type of person, and like I said, she's your basic weirdo. But she admits it. She says, I'm a weirdo and I'm proud. Let me just tell you what happens at the end. They tell you in the first page. Don't you worry, this isn't no spoilers. They tell you what happens. They literally read the chapter. Blank, 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 blank. It hurts even more that you knew what was coming and it still came, because you're like, oh, I already know what's going to happen. It's not going to hurt as much. No, it's still going to hurt. and it's gonna hurt a lot, let me tell you. Let me tell you. And once you finish this book, you're like, how the hell is there a different book? Like, what do you mean? This is an infant's point of view. I haven't read it yet. I read the first page, I started sobbing, which is why I haven't gotten it. And I got it, like I pre-ordered this before it came out. Super excited. They came in the day it came out. Haven't read them yet. And want to know why? Because I am not emotionally ready to read these. And it's been months. I think this one came out in like October. Like last year. I'm pretty sure this came out last year. No, it didn't. This year. February? I don't remember. Almost a year. And I haven't read this. Because I'm not ready. And I don't think I'll ever be ready. But I do want to read this. But I have read this. So you all should read these. You're welcome. Since we're in the sad kind of mood now, let's add on to it. Let's add on to your TBR and to your pain. Because if I had to go through this, so do you. Hello!
That vlog was so cute! Video!
My newfound author of all time, I must say, is Ashley Poston. I've only read these 2 books by her, and I think she has like 1 more or 2 out. But this is the first book I read by her, and this is the second one. Literally, these are so fall aesthetic. We're gonna start off with The Dead Romantics, which is the first book I read by her, which made me fall in love with her writing, with her in general. It's just everything. This is our main character, Florence, who is a ghostwriter, and she has this gift, I guess per se, where she can see dead people. She helps them go into the afterlife by helping them complete their mission that they had to do while they were on Earth and all of that stuff. Because of it, she grew up getting bullied a lot because people would make fun of her, they would call her a weirdo and all of that stuff. For context, her family owns a funeral home, so I guess being around dead people, I guess, and all that stuff, like, really enhanced her gift and all of that stuff. And she even helped solve murders, I think, or I think that was a different book that I've read. I don't remember. Something happens during the beginning of the book where she has to go back to her hometown, do this said thing that I can't really say because it will be a spoiler. But when she was back, when she goes back to her hometown, which is states away, like, my girl caught a flight, and she sees her editor, and she's like, how are you here? I just saw you a few hours ago. I just saw you a day ago over here in this place. Like, what do you mean? It's not that he's dead. They're basically trying to figure out what he has to do to cross over to the afterlife and all that stuff. And as you can guess, they fell in love. As I was reading this, I wish that this one thing happens, but I was like, it's not going to happen. Like, this, like, it cannot happen. Like, it's not real. Like, it can't happen. That I wanted to happen happened, and it just like broke me. Like, I will insert the time lapse of me bawling my eyes out. Like, I even got my freaking like stuffed animal, like my support stuffed animal, to have with me while I read this. Like, no, 5 stars, one of my top 5 stars of all time. I have The 7-Year Slip by her. This deals with our main character, Clementine West, and she moves into her dead aunt's apartment. But this apartment is magical. So the thing about this apartment is, once she enters it, she's 7 years in the past, and she remembers that her aunt would tell her stories about it. So as Clementine moves into her aunt's apartment, she travels back 7 years, and she meets this guy, and she's always like, what does this mean? What the heck? Blah 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 blah. And then she keeps on going. Like, sometimes she would go out and go back into the apartment, but she'd be in present time instead of 7 years in the past. But this book was so beautifully written, and Ashley Poston, if I'm being honest, is such an easy read also. It's so adorable, and as you can tell, I loved it by how much I tapped it. Second to last book that I'm gonna be recommending for y'all is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is top all-time favorite books, and I think one of the top books there is in general. And it's just it is childhood friends to lovers, second chance lovers, and I don't remember if you have to do trigger warnings for this one, but just in case, check, because I am not 100% sure. They're both neighbors when Macy goes to her summer house, because she had her house during the school year, and her house, like her summer house, like where she would go with her dad. And at her summer house, she had Elliot as her neighbor. Macy is your typical, like all of us, your bookworm, has a room full of books and books and books that is quite literally never ending, and she meets Elliot, who is almost quite literally the same, and they got super close with the bond of books. And they have this thing where they always ask each other, what's your favorite word? And they would say blank, and they'd be like, oh, what's yours? Blank. And then just leave it as that. And I think sometimes they would explain like, oh, it means blank 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 blank, or I read it in this book in the context of blank, you know. And it's just such a cute romance. And something happens in between them where they end up breaking up, and it's like years in the future, and they're both doing their own thing, and they rekindle. They see each other in the streets one day, and when they see each other, they start not trying to rekindle. She is engaged at this point when she sees Elliot once again in the future, and she just meets up with Elliot just to try to like talk to him, catch up with him. And the thing that made them break up multiple years ago was never really talked through. As they're rekindling things, the truth comes out, and the truth is quite, yes, I shouldn't be excited when I remember this. Do search up trigger warnings. I don't really want to say what the trigger warning is, but do please search up trigger warnings if you are interested in reading this book. And last but not least, one of my last recs for this video is none other, and I am not gonna go get the book because I am way too lazy, but it is of course the ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas. One of my all-time series, all-time favorite books, all-time favorite fantasy books, anything and everything. Top of the top of the top. The first book, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, is basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. All of the books that I recommend slash I want to read for the fall. Thank you so much for sticking with me. So yeah, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that YouTube stuff. Y'all already know what to do. I will try to put all of my socials down in the description where I am more active, and y'all can get to know me better, and I can get to know all of y'all better. But yeah, I will see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.